Welcome to the Barrow, and welcome to this 100-point delve mode mission of adventurers versus the draugr. So before we hop into this mission today, there are a couple things I want to mention. First off, this is going to be the beginning of a narrative campaign underneath the Strongholds game mode, which is created by Strongholds expansion, who posted this on the Modifius forum, and it's supposed to be like a you build your own settlement kind of thing, and with it you get to you get access to more weapons, more units. So right now we start off with having access to either the Steadfast Dragonborn, the Dragonborn Champion of Skyrim, and Lydia, as well as some basic like novice level spells and like iron equipment. Just some basic stuff. And then after that, once you start getting a couple missions done, you can start building buildings like, say, an inn. Not that this is an inn, but and with that you get access to more troops, more gear, and it seems like a pretty neat system. So you have glory, which for each VP we get, whether we win or lose, we get glory, which we use to spend on other units. We have supplies, which are used to create buildings that give us access to other units. And then we can also increase our septim limit. Right now it's 100, and I've spent all 100 on the Dragonborn here, the Steadfast Dragonborn, who I have named Burd, which that will be part of the narrative stuff. So I'm going to have a story coming in later on. We also have injuries. I've decided to add injuries. There's an injury thing. There are injuries, so if someone is knocked out, they are gone for a few games. So you want to have a bunch of people, that way you can have people continually gaining resources for missions and stuff. But I've decided to use permadeath, so if someone dies, they are gone. I believe if they are a named character. I will have a link to the Strongholds rules set thing in the description below, as well as a link to the Battle Systems website for the terrain pieces that I have, which would be the buildings, the cart, and the walls. So now, let us go on into the story. Burd, a Nord hailing from the city of Bruma, and descendant of one of the heroes during the Oblivion Crisis and the Battle of Bruma, travels by horse to his father's homeland of Skyrim, his eyes bright with the thought of adventure. After training under his father's tutelage, he has been given blessing and some old adventuring gear that his father had bore in his younger years. Travel through the Jarl Mountains in the province of Skyrim took its toll on the young man, but he managed to push through, eager to prove himself strong, both to himself and his family when he returned. After passing through the Serpent's Trail and Pale Pass, the journey eased up. The air grew warmer, and grass and trees could be seen ahead. 15th of Last Seed, 4th Era 201. From the hold of Falkreath, Burd traveled north, catching up to a train of carts and horsemen, each man dressed in Imperial armor, and each cart holding a group of prisoners, most of them in a blue armor. But there were a few of them that did not seem to fit in. One wore lordly clothes and seemed to hold himself in an esteem, and an aura of power and leadership seemed to come off of him. Another looked to be nervous, his eyes darting back and forth, almost seeming to look for an escape. The third one that did not seem to fit the rest of the group was a Nord woman in rags, sound asleep, but despite her slumber, looked strong and capable of dealing with any dangers that could come her way. At the head of the train, on an elegant horse, sat a man of purpose, his head held high and his expression showing his determination to see a job through, and his red leather armor bearing markings of a general of the Imperial Army. Behind him and to his side rode several heavily armored men and women, each in Imperial legate armor. Burd rode his horse, awed by the marvel that was the Imperial Army, and began to find himself drawing ever closer, had not heard the first warning given him. "Citizen, I am warning you. Your presence is interfering with Imperial business. Be gone." The Imperial soldier called to him again, drawing his sword and moving closer. Burd called out to the soldier, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. "Forgive me, I did not mean to disturb you. I'm just a traveler heading north to my father's homeland." "Well, be on your way," the soldier called back, falling back in line with the train of soldiers. All eyes were on Burd as he passed by, drawing a wide berth so as not to seem hostile, and continued on his way. After several hours, Burd passed through a fort, although this fort was not what he was accustomed to. He had seen forts in Cyrodiil, but they were tall and thin, but their tunnels underground ran deep like roots. The fort before him, Helgen, was more like a town, with homes inside its walls, and the keep in its own walled-off courtyard. He continued on his way, riding all the way up through to Whiterun Hold, passing through the town of Riverwood and to Whiterun, where he stayed for the night. 16th of last seed, 4th era, 201. Burd woke up at the Bannered Mare, collecting his things and moving into the tavern's lobby, where he asked around for some adventuring work. Hulda, the lady at the counter, said life outside the gates were starting to get dangerous, and that folk outside the safety of Whiterun's walls were likely to need people to help protect the towns and villages. Burd thanked Hulda and headed out to a place by the name of Black Moor, which could be seen surrounding Fort Greymore. Burd rode up to the town, its wooden walls high, but their strength seemed to have seen better days. Inside, some people milled about, and several houses and shops dotted the streets, although many of the buildings appeared empty or abandoned. "Greetings," Burd called to a local, a Nord man who had been chopping wood outside a nearby house. "I am Burd, an adventurer looking for work. I had heard in Whiterun that some of the towns had been looking for people to help with troubles in the area." "Greetings, Burd," the Nord grumbled. "I'm Sten, a woodsman. Yes, we could use some help. Grab some wood, start chopping, and I'll pay you a fair wage." Burd considered for a moment, then hopped down from his horse and set to work chopping wood beside Sten. The two chopped wood for some time before Sten piped up. "Where are you from, Burd?" "The city of Bruma," Burd replied, wiping sweat from his brow. The sun had reached its peak, and the cool had warmed up some. "It's in northern Cyrodiil." "Cyrodiil?" Sten scoffed. "What made you want to come up here to Skyrim?" "My father was from Whiterun. He moved to Bruma, where he met my mother, who had lived there her whole life." "Not so." Sten swung his axe, chopping a log cleanly. "Well, I'm headed inside to get some lunch ready. You keep chopping, and I'll bring you something to eat." Burd continued chopping wood, sharing a lunch with Sten when he returned, and helped Sten with several chores around town, mending fences, thatching roofs, repairing walls. With Sten apparently being self-employed by keeping the town's empty buildings from collapsing on themselves, the few residents that remained in the dying town helped keep the man fed. By the end of the day, Burd found himself in Sten's house, sharing a drink with a man by the fireplace. "So Sten, what happened to this town?" Burd asked, taking a drink of his ale. "There are so many buildings that you keep up with, but there are hardly any people. The guard seems to be lacking as well." Sten sighed, his face sinking a bit, the smile he had gained that day growing soft and sad. "Well, the town's been on the decline for some time now, and with it the guard have been posted in other settlements, or moved off to gods know where. The other folk around here think it's because we don't have a lord settling things with the Jarl, but I think it's because not many folk want to come by a deserted town. Maybe they think everyone here is a bandit, so people steer clear." Sten took another drink from his mug and shook his head. "My father told me before that we had a lord who did this town good. Lord Torben, I think his name was, back in the Third Era. He was the last prominent leader of Black Moor, I think. And after that the land fell into decline. They say the Eternal Champion from them days had traveled through here before to speak to Lord Torben. That's just what the stories say. And now look at the place. A town of houses falling apart. Barely anyone living in them. A shame." Burd nodded his head, not quite sure what to say. "Ah!" Sent down the rest of his drink and stood up. "You don't want to hear an old man talk of days before his time. I'm off to sleep. I suggest you do the same. We'll be up bright and early in the morning, back to work." Burd headed to a guest room in Sten's house, and lying in bed, he began to wonder if this was the adventure he was imagining. 17th of last seed, 4th era, 201. Burd and Sten woke up and began their day's work of chopping wood and beginning the mending of the walls, Two had not been working but a few hours when there was a loud roar coming from the lone mountain to the southeast, the throat of the world. What was that? Burd asked, never hearing such a terrifying sound before. Sen looked across the way, squinting his eyes to try and get a better look. I'm not sure. It sounded like some kind of beast. Whatever it is, the guard will alert us if anything's heading our way. A minute later, a couple of guards came running by. Heading toward the barracks, cries of defending the walls and draugr were heard. Every man and several women ran into their homes fetching weapons of their own, and heading toward the walls to help defend their homes as a militia. Sten went off to join them, telling Burd to keep clear and stay out of danger, since this was not a visitor's matter. Burd begrudgingly relented and returned to Sten's home, fetching a quick set of armor to slip on, and his bow and sword before heading out. The warriors had headed to the gates to the north and south, but from where Burd was at, he could see the western gate had been left unguarded, and to his surprise a wall had collapsed just next to the gate. From outside the broken wall, a small group of draugr could be seen moving for the newfound entrance. So for this mission, we're doing hold the gates. Any number of rounds. The environment is sunny. We need 14 VP since we have 100. We're doing 100-point septim limit, and we're going to be doing making a point for 3 VP. We'll remove an enemy model from play by closing a gate, because we can activate those objective markers with a strength check, and anything that's caught in the area, which will be kind of like around that barricade. And I am going to say the stone area of, if any part of their base is on the stone area, then they're within that gate. And on a successful strength check, that model is instantly slain. And that'll be for 3 VP, plus 1 for removing an enemy model. Through the gate, I'll remove an enemy before they have moved through a gate for 1 VP. And I think that's going to be it. We cannot do let them come because we will need a gate closed. Otherwise, they'll be flooding through one as we will be defending the other. And it'll just become this horrible juggle back here where I go over here to fight something and then I go over here to fight something, or if I go over here I get locked up and then something will slip by and we'll lose. If any model makes it to the battlefield edge, we lose, and our area is marked off for 100 points. So let's get on into it. For today we have Burd, the steadfast dragonborn. He's got an iron sword in his inventory, an iron longbow, a longbow, and some hide armor. We're going to need some range for this since we're by ourselves. On a 4, it's not too bad. Yeah, 6 is for strength. That's nice. And the light armor will let us sprint 9 inches as opposed to 8, which will be good for getting up, closing the things, and moving around and whatnot. So, 2 adversary activations. Let's get on to turn 1. Burd. Burd sprinted up, and he will hold there for now. I think that draugr is going to end up sprinting into here, and if we can close the gate on him, all the better. If we need to, we can move up, stand here. I think it'll hold the draugr there, and we can still close the gates. The only issue would be the skeleton slipping on through, but once that gate is closed, we are good at holding that. We don't have very great armor, only a yellow, but if we can just hold this choke point and be able to push back, that'd be fine. And then once that overlord is dead, things will be a bit easier. Alright, on to draugr. Both their activations. So as I suspected, this draugr sprinted up and is now on the gate. If we can move up, hopefully the skeleton will go next, or maybe one of the things that will spawn. We can get up and close that gate on the draugr, giving us 4 VP. The skeleton moved up, and it is going to hide. It's going to hide. It's hiding. It is hiding. Alright, so that is the end of the round, and we are going to move on to the event phase. Or, I guess the event, yeah. What was that? The adversary rules are in play. Choose a point on the gaming area within 6 inches of one of your models. The adversary spawns from that point instead of a table edge. If the adversary rules are not in play, discard this card and draw another. Okay, so let me see if I can get 2 for 1 here in this gate. So it is within 6 inches, which would be right in the gate, and I decided to put the Draugr Overlord over there. Although now that I think about it, Draugr gets to go first. So I really need the skeleton to go. That way I can close the gate on both of these guys. So let's move on to Draugr. Turn 2. This Draugr warrior slips out past its boss and is attacking the Dragonborn on a black and green. He will make his attack. Black is pretty nasty. On a 5, -3, that's a 1 that hits. And it'll be piercing 1 because of the helmet. So I only have 1 yellow. On a 2, I'd negate it all. But I do not, so Burd goes down to 4. Alright, so that is the Draugr. Let us do something with Burd. I think I will need to leave and activate that gate. Otherwise, we're going to have a big problem called the Draugr Overlord. Burd slips past the Draugr warrior, off to kind of challenge movement here. I think the Draugr could still maybe move. I'll have to recheck. But we're next to that objective. The Draugr gets a free swing at us unboosted, but that fails. So we need to make a strength check. On a 6 or less, we pass. That is a 4. The Draugr Overlord is slain, and that is 4 VP for us. This skeleton moves around and is going to put a shot into Burd, boosted because he did not sprint. He's within 8 inches. 2 with... Is that piercing? It is piercing. Oh god. We might take a bit of damage here. We do take 2 damage. We're at 2. This is looking a little dicey. But Burd can now go full ham on people. So let us move on to Burd. Turn 3 after I draw an event card. That is an important thing to do. Hostiles. Requirements NPC tokens in play. We do not have NPC tokens in play. When this event is drawn, draw another event. Okay. I can do that. Next event card is the Way of the Voice. We don't have Dragon Shouts, but we have that as a Radiant quest. No Dragon Shouts though, because Burd is not a Dragonborn yet that we know of. So on to Burd. Turn 3. And at the end of the round, this guy randomly spawned over there. The Frostblade. We did have 2 spawns, but the Overlord is happily lying there dead. Again, because he's a Draugr. He's dead again 2 times. So Burd, removing these tokens. Burd, I think, is going to attempt to shoot this Draugr. And then try and sprint over to hold up this skeleton. So let us make a shot. It is a red for being in short range, and we're going to boost that with a green. Shooting into the Draugr. On a crit, that's nice, because 1 damage may have been blocked. 3 damage cannot be blocked on a yellow. No, definitely not. That Draugr is dead, and that puts us up to 5 VP. 5 VP. And with that, it is going to be us moving. We're going to move, and I'm pretty sure we can sprint. I will double check. sprinting into the skeleton archer, we will be able to switch our weapons and start swinging at that next turn. Skeleton will go ahead and make its action, which is going to be just a little baby punch, which is going to be power attacked, since he has not done anything. So, on a crit, are you kidding me? Okay, so we block on a yellow. We block 1. That's one scary skeleton. It's taken 3 points off of our health. I tell people all the time that whenever I play this game, my skeletons are nasty. And they clearly are. This Dragonborn that has 5 hit points took 3. Jeez. Alright, then we just gotta move that Frostblade. Drawing an event card. Blessing of Talos. Roll red and distribute that many Thum points. We don't have Thum, so that doesn't help us. But the draugr warrior will spawn, and let me figure out where he's going to spawn. And that draugr thankfully spawned over there. So it is going to be draugr turn 4. Hopefully not the skeleton, because I don't want to get punched to death by a skeleton. Oh, I forgot. I can spend 5 VP, level us up. So now we replenish all of our reserves. So we're back up to 5 hit points. And we now have 5 stamina, which I will need another little token thing to show. Okay. So that worry is now gone. Now it's on to turn 4. Beginning of turn 4, this draugr sprinted up. Thankfully it was him and not the skeleton, although I think the skeleton's going to die. We are switching weapons to the iron sword, putting the bow in our bag, and we are going to, I think, precision strike into that skeleton. So let's go. 2 damage. Can the skeleton block 2? He blocks 2. Why do I roll good with the skeletons? Alright, skeleton's going to fight back on just a yellow. Another yellow for power attack, but a 6 fails. So we're just standing there punching each other, apparently. Okay, so next is that Frostblade, which I believe he is just going to move. I don't know why that token's there. He's just going to move. Drawing an event card. We have Lost Treasure. Place a Master Chest token on the gaming area no closer than 8 inches to any player-controlled model, if possible. Okay, yeah. So I think I'm going to want it out here somewhere. That way we can push up, try to take the chest, and fight back this horde. So let us place a treasure token. Moving on to turn 5. With the battle with the skeleton, Burd can see just over there is what looks like a very ornate chest. But in order to get there, he's going to have to kill this skeleton, kill that draugr, and probably deal with that draugr over there. Nothing spawned because everything's already out on the table. So we are going to try to hit this stinky, stinky skeleton because it is our advantage. So precision striking the skeleton again, and on a helmet is another green, but it doesn't matter, it's a critical fail. We'll replenish our stamina. What a shame. And the skeleton's going to strike back, and I think that Frostblade's going to move as well. Let's deal with the skeleton and its power attacking. On a 4, however, with a helmet adds a green, which will, if it's a -1, we'll be safe. It's -1 because it has a strength of 2. So the skeleton failed. I believe that draugr's within 6. I will measure, and if so, I mean, he's going to be going anyway. They're both going to go. Everything's going to go. Let's go. Draugr Frostblade is moving around to go after Burd, and this draugr moved up and threw up a block. It is now going to be the draugr's turn, turn 6. Let's draw an event card, see what we get. Calm before the storm. If the blizzard rules are in effect, they cease until the end of the next round. So there's going to be a blizzard starting next round. Awesome. So the clear, sunny day has begun to turn into a overcast, snowy blizzard. Let's see if we are actually going to have a blizzard. No, it is just beginning to snow. The draugr have brought some sort of blizzard with their magic, I would assume. Since we do have a frostblade, maybe he's conjuring this blizzard into existence. So draugr going first, turn 6. So the draugr frostblade moves into attack with his sword. And he is going to have quite a bit of dice here. Red for his weapon, red and green for his weapon, green for outnumbering, and a yellow for power attack. And let's see what he gets. That hits for 2, and it'll be bleeding. We've just got one little yellow to block with, and we take 2, and we're bleeding. That's not great. Not the best thing in the world. Well then. Bleeding sucks because if we don't save from it, we take damage for all kinds of action stuff. So, oof. On to Burd. Alright, beginning of the turn, Burd needs to make an endurance test on a 6, so a 9 does not cut it. So now any action we take will make us bleed, but I think we need to spend an action to kill the skeleton, and the next turn we'll try to kill the frostblade. Is that a good option? Should I kill the frostblade, get hit by the skeleton, and kill the skeleton next turn? Because the frostblade is going to hit us a lot harder than the skeleton will. Especially with all of its boosts and everything, plus with a strength of 4 versus a strength of 2. Let's fight the frostblade. Let's fight the frostblade. We're going to power attack this draugr frostblade. So 3 yellow total, and I imagine we'll hit. We will take a damage for this. Critical hit. Okay, please. 2 damage. He can block a yellow. A helmet does a green. That does nothing. So he blocks on a yellow, he blocks 1, he takes 1, and he dies. I do think that was the better option, because otherwise he'd be hitting us for another red, which would not be good. We do take a point of damage, but the bleed is gone. We're down to just 4 stamina. Yep. And the skeleton will react, and then the draugr gets to go. That is another VP for us, so we are at 6, not even halfway there. All right, moving on to the skeleton. Skeleton is going to fight back with power attack. That does not cut it. A helmet does give it a green. That'll hit. Oh my god. On a yellow. We block 1. We take 1. Burd. Things aren't looking too good for you, buddy. And then that draugr will move up. That draugr moved up and threw up a block, and we will now draw an event card. Disease. Choose one of your models. That model must pass an endurance attribute test or receive a disease diminished effect card. So that skeleton is bringing a disease or something. Maybe its punch was disease-ridden. So on a 6 or less, we pass. And we will spawn that frostblade over there. Moving on to turn 7, the Burd. And hopefully he can get something going. 1 hit point. Not looking so great. Burd has decided he has had enough. He's going to power attack the skeleton. So for 3 yellow. And that was gonna be a critical hit. What are you talking about? We do get a green, which will bump it into a 6. But, God, stupid you little flap thing just really screwed Burd over. But 6 hits, and that's 3 damage. That skeleton cannot save, so he is dead. We get a VP. So we are now at 7. We are halfway there. If we can somehow kill this draugr, I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make it for that chest. Right? Grab the chest, maybe hopefully get a healing potion. Use it, because we can search chests for free, because we are adventurers. And then we could spend that potion and heal up a little bit. And hopefully this draugr will come after us. Hopefully. Hopefully. On to, should I move? I can move. Let me measure it real quick. We can barely make it over to this chest, so as a free action, we will search. It is locked. We will perform a strength check because that's the only check we can do. So on a 3 or lower, that is a 4. That fails. Better than an X though. Okay, well, onto the draugr. So this draugr Frostblade sprints up, heading to fight Burd. And then this draugr did what I thought he would, and he moved over, sprinted over to attack Burd, and he is going to make his attack. That hits. On a helmet, it is piercing 1. So Burd, you need to roll 2. He does not. Well, that is the end of Burd. No, what happens is Burd has stalled long enough. So this battle has been going on throughout the city. Burd is just a very lowly adventurer. He has not taken in war tactics or anything. Fresh out in the field. But he has managed to stall the enemy long enough for all the other forces in the other sides of the city that are being attacked. They have managed to hold and defend, and reinforcements have been able to come and save Burd. So as Burd goes down, reinforcements manage to come over. They defeat the draugr, hold them at bay, beat them back, and someone manages to grab Burd and drag him into the city, bring him back into town, because he is a hero. If he had not held this as long as he had, which was 7 turns, a little longer than a normal mission, then the city would have been overrun, and he would have surely lost. But now I think I need to roll to see if he dies. Although, let's go ahead and roll. So on an X, he is dead permanently. And on a critical, he is fine, and he manages to find some supplies. So let's go ahead and roll. 6, he is fine. He is wounded, but so he'll be out for a little bit. But there are other people in town that might be able to do some adventuring here. All right, so Burd has been defeated. We have lost, but we still get some supplies for it. 25, not enough to do anything. If we had got the chest, we would have gotten, I think, another 25 supplies. But that is not the case. But Burd held his own. The level up was very key. It's just hitting on a black die and hitting with a red die on a green. Very, very painful. But you know what? I think with this, Burd might be able to become the leader this settlement needs. So he's going to be in recovery for a few rounds, and we will follow some other adventures. So let's go. I guess that's it. That's it. The dead shall rest. everyone's dead except Burd. Bird's alive. He's not dead. He's not dead yet. And that is it. So with 7 VP we lost, but that is 7 glory we will have for our overall settlement of Black Moor. And so with that, I will go ahead and end. Thank you for watching. Be sure to check the links in the description for the link to the Strongholds battle mode, Strongholds mode thing. And thank you to Strongholds expansion on Modifius Forum for allowing me to do this. I think it's a really cool idea. The stuff seems pretty good, and they've already got plans for more updates, like making some things a little easier in the beginning, as well as some future delve stuff into the dark stuff, I think. So that is it. That is it for this game, and we will see you guys next time. And I think I will have another story bit here at the end, so make sure you listen. Burd had fallen, his armor in tatters, and blood seeping through from his wounds. He had held out for as long as he could, defending the gates by himself, but he was not enough. Darkness was starting to take him, and he felt he was dying. As the draugr were ready to pour through the wall, several guards and militiamen met them and beat them back. Sten was among them, and he saw the new arrival who had helped him with his work, despite his rough treatment. Grabbing a few of his fellow militia soldiers, they fought back the draugr that surrounded the young Nord, and dragged him back inside the walls, Sten setting to healing with his limited knowledge of magic, while the other warriors barricaded the walls and drove the draugr back. As the snow fell from the sky, Bird's life had been saved. He had been declared a hero for holding the breach.